Welcome friends, thank you so much for joining me in this short video on real estate strategy. Now, I've dubbed this real estate strategy, but really this is just good sales management. I didn't come by this plan by being a real estate coach. Actually, I came to it honestly by just being a sales manager. And when I got into real estate coaching, I applied what I knew and found that most agents weren't doing this, and it works. So as an entrepreneur, which you are, you have to have a little bit of a strategy for growing and developing your business. And it's easy to overthink this. What most of you already have is art. You're artists. You're good with people. You've got hustle. You've got what it takes to make the deal happen. You've got expertise. You've got your artistry. But what a lot of agents lack is the science behind that. So this is really basic, but I'd like to walk you through the science and be careful. Don't say, I'm doing that. Honestly, if you can't point to a spreadsheet on this one, you might be doing it halfway, but half measures are only going to get you really nowhere. Or you may be leaving a lot of money on the table because you're only doing 2 to 4 transactions a month when you could be doing 6 to 10 if you had some formulations like this. Also, you may be doing a lot of feast and famine. You get 4 to 6 transactions and you go to 1, or you get 4 and you go to 0. Because you don't have some of this science built in. So I'm talking to everybody, not just green agents who've never put a plan together before, warning you to be careful to say you've done this before. Maybe you haven't. So let's start. So I'm going to divide our business strategy into two mindsets. Okay? The first mindset here is your sales process. So think about your sales process. Where does your sales process end? Your sales process ends with making money, closing a deal. So the first question you have to ask yourself is, how much money do I want to make every year? And let's say you want to make about $150,000. That may be ideal, that may be realistic, I don't know. Is that the best you could make? Let's make it a 3-tiered goal approach. So let's say that's your best, 150. Let's say good would be, better. It's good, better, best. Better might be, say, 125,000, and good or okay is, say, 100,000. So 1, 2, 3, 150,000, 125,000, 100,000. Okay. The next question you have to ask yourself is, what is my average deal commission? How much am I typically making on the average house I sell or plan to sell? And we come up with our average commission, and then we figure out, well, how many transactions do I have to have a year to get there? Very simple. So let's just say you come up with a number and you say, you know what, I need to have 12 transactions this year to get here. I need 10 for this, and I need 8 for this. You plug in your own numbers. This is pretty basic. You've probably done this before. So we get a number of transactions. Now from there, we need to work back from there. How many actual contracts do I need to get to that number of transactions? The transaction happens at the closing table, but some contracts fall through. Now some of you may say that's very, very rare. So 11 becomes 12 or 12 becomes 12. But let's play with reality and understand maybe 0.5, but let's say how many contracts do I actually need? The next thing we got to look at is, how many offers do I need to give to get an acceptable contract? And there's a period of time where offers don't turn to contracts, and contracts might not turn to actual deals. So we're going to start to look at a little bit of a decline here. So maybe I have to put in 16 offers to get 11 contracts and I went the wrong way. This should have been 13. You already caught that. So 16 offers to go to 13 contracts to go to 12 offers. You see what I'm doing here. Now you could look at how many showings you have to have or whatever to get to offers if you want to look at your time that way. But whether you're a buyer's agent or a listing agent, we want to ask ourselves next, how many consultations do I need to have to get someone to start working with me? So a consultation is when you sit down with the buyer for the first time and really do a deep dive discovery on everything they're looking for, all their fears and all their concerns and all their hopes and dreams. It's more than just number of bedrooms and how many car garage. And on a seller's consultation, a typical CMA, we're sitting down with them, we're talking to them about your process for how you're going to sell their home, what their expectations are, probably giving them some comps, walking around the place, seeing what's involved, what they should be doing to help list it, help sell it, a good seller's consultation. How many consultations do we need to get to 16 offers? Either offers received or offers given, whether we're talking buyers or sellers. Now, some of you may be scratching your head here saying, I don't have consultations. You should. This might be an area we can come back to. But let's just say, for example, it's about 30. Hey, if I sit down with 30 people, enough of them will do business with me that in the next 60 days or so, or next 60 days, and within the next year, I'll get 16 people that engage with me, and out of those 16 that put in offers, we'll get to 12 at the end of actual deals. This is just an example. You plug in what your own conversion is or what you expect it to be. Then what we do is we come in and we look at that with each of your tiers. So we look at it for this number. So if I had 10, this might be 11, and this might be 15, this might be 25, and then this might be 20, 12, 10 to 8. This is just an example. When we look at it for each. Then we divide it by 12 to look at how many we have to do a month, or you can divide it to see how many you need to do every 2 months. Because really a real estate sales process is more than a 30-day sales cycle. It's really about a 60-day sales cycle. So we really want to know not how we're doing month to month, but how we're doing over 60 days, a little bit more accurate. Once we have that, we know, every 30 days or 60 days, I need to meet with, say, I need to have 4 consultations, 1 a week, and then that will get me to my number. You see how this works. You can do the math. Clearly that's not my strong point, but what we're looking for here is how many people do I actually have to sit down with? Now, most of us get up every morning and we think, how do I have to get to this number? Don't think about that. Your job is to make sure your sales process works really well. You've got a well-engineered sales process. You know each step of the way. Our job is to put as many people in the sales process as should be in the sales process to get you to the number you want to be at. Why? Why is this number of consultations so important? Because the other half of our brain here, the other half of our strategy is our marketing strategy. And the goal of our marketing strategy is not to sell, to close. That's our process. The goal of our marketing strategy, to get people to the consultation. That's it. We do that by building a bond with people. To help figure this out, I divide marketing up into 3 types of marketing. The first one is direct, otherwise known as direct selling. It's the shortest route between here and a consultation. It's where you pick up the phone and you call someone. It's where you knock on a door. It's where you do something direct. It's a call to a prospect that's been referred to you. It's a direct call. Could be FSBOs, could be expireds, whatever it is. Could be FSBO calls, could be door knocks, could be a follow-up to a lead, could be a cold call that you probably want to do that, but it's there. That's just a direct sales, and you have these different pillars of direct selling. Second type is indirect. This is where you're there, you're potentially meeting people. They might not come right to a consultation. You probably have to follow up with them directly, but we're meeting people and we're kind of gathering the fish in the barrel, in a not so nice way of putting it. And this is going to be your typical open house. This might be networking, a pitch session. Indirect marketing. Hey, it's where we're meeting the people that we're going to try calling and setting meetings with and things like that. Getting them there. And then last but not least is your classic marketing, which is lead management, digital marketing, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to call it just indirect marketing. It's not direct, it's indirect. And what's that? That's your social media. That's your website. That's your mailer campaigns. It's a billboard. It's an ad somewhere. It's something that somebody's seeing. You're not directly interacting with them, but it's a funnel that's going to bring them here. So which one should you be focusing on? Depends on your personality. If you're great at meeting people, but you're not really aggressive or highly assertive, but you're just a connector of people, the primary part of your strategy is going to be indirect. We're going to meet as many people as we can. And if you're one of those people that you're like, you're tough, you're a tough cookie, you're like FSBOs, I eat FSBOs for breakfast, then we're going to leverage heavily on the direct selling. And if you're someone who's highly introverted and you can't really strike up a conversation and you definitely could never knock on a door, we want to focus here on indirect. Now, ideally over time, you're going to get a little bit of all of this mixed in. But the important thing is, let's do what's going to work for you. So what do we do next? If you're taking notes, write this down. First, we need to determine what we're going to do. What are our pillars? Well, I'm not going to call FSBOs. I'm fine doing some door knocks. I'm fine doing some follow-up. I'm fine calling people I've done business with before and asking for referrals. I'm fine with those things. Those are my whats. Those are my pillars. What about indirect? Well, hey, I really enjoy networking. I can do some of that. Love open houses. Happy to do that. Not going to do pitch sessions. What about indirect marketing? Yeah, a little bit of social media is fine. Don't really need a website. But I'll do some of the social media. Fine, we throw that up there. Maybe I'll do a direct mail campaign, Christmas cards or something. Put that up there. Great. Now we know what we're going to do. Next question. How much of it are we going to do? How much? We've got to quantify this. All right, well, I'll make 20 door knocks a month. I don't mind making 5 calls a day or 5 calls a week. You know, so 5 times 52, you get your number there. I don't mind maybe dropping into garage sales or whatever it is that's a direct selling. You come up with a number. And you figure out how many of that it is a month or a week or however you're breaking it down. Then you do the same for everything else. And now you have a recipe. What you're going to do and how much you're going to do. How do we know if the recipe is working? Well, number 1, if you actually did it. And number 2, did I get to my number of consultations per time period that I'd anticipated doing? The next thing you have to ask yourself, if you're still taking notes, is how am I going to do this? Let's go back to that art. What is my strategy? Don't tell me open houses don't work. The open houses do work for the people who do open houses right. We got to look at your art. We got to look at your art. But let's be reasonable. Let's be reasonable. You can't do everything. But let's make sure the things we are doing, we do really, really well. So we want to focus on getting better and better at those. And sometimes you only need a few pillars when you're doing that. Sometimes only 1. So look at your art. So what am I going to do? How much am I going to do? How am I going to do it? And last but not least, and I'll tell you right now, realtors, this is where a lot of you go wrong. When am I going to do it? What day, date, and time am I going to make these calls, do these door knocks? And that needs to go on your calendar. Now we have an actual actionable and measurable strategy that we will determine if it works by did we get to our number of consultations. And here's the catch. All we really got to do is manage our calendar and continue to come back and tweak how we're doing everything and how much till we have a cake that's baked. If you've ever baked a cake, you know the recipe sometimes is near to right, but there's a lot of things they can't figure out. Are you a little heavy-handed with the sugar? Is your oven a little hot? Maybe your stirring bowl or your mixer is at a little bit of a different rates than the one that they used when they developed the recipe. They don't know your exact ingredients. So you've always had to learn how to doctor your stuff up. And you got to doctor this stuff. How do we do it? Follow the recipe the first time. Sit down at the end of every month, doctor it up, follow it again the next time, and look and see what our results, how well they taste. That's what you do. I don't know too many realtors that are doing this. And you know who should be doing it more than anyone? Not brand new realtors, actually. Successful realtors. Because when you actually have people in your sales process, what falls off? This falls off. We have to make sure this is adjusted for successful realtors who are doing 4 transactions a month so that you can actually make sure that you don't go feast or famine, as I said in the beginning, and we actually get to a place where we can maintain 6 to 8, say, transactions a month. Now, of course, this is all dependent upon your goal numbers. You may only need 1 transaction a month because your minimum house is $2 million and you're fine with only having 12 transactions a year, and you don't need much marketing to get there. You just need the right target, well developed. That's fine. But we got to have a plan we can take to the bank. I hope this was helpful for you. Depending on where you're seeing this video, I should have a link underneath this where you can actually download a spreadsheet where you can put all this in. And I'd love to see if I can be more of a resource for you in any of these things. Keep watching future videos. Thank you so much.